Music bumps in the background, and fire erupts from my car's exhaust pipes. Its engine roars, and the smell of burning rubber fills the air as I tear down the snow-laden asphalt. I bank hard left, and my car enters a perfect drift. However, unbeknownst to me, something waits maliciously in the shadows. The concrete curb, who I'm officially naming Curby, springs from the shadows, as only curbs can spring, and appears directly before my car's drifting trajectory. Helpless to avoid Kirby's masterful use of trigonometry, my car slams into the curb. A near blank page of graph paper fills your vision as you try to comprehend the complex diagram consisting of a straight arrow and the word crash. My car explodes in a ball of flames and I barely manage to crawl from the wreckage. And, just before I pass out, I see Kirby standing there, stone-faced, unwilling to give even the slightest hint of regret. So, drifted my car into a curb, gives a clearly forced smile and 2 thumbs up. But the fun thing about it is legally it's actually Kirby's fault. See, I was out with Neo, City, and John, and I had been drifting in my favorite drifting parking lot for like 15 minutes or so. Thus, of course, I'd already made dozens of successful, and might I add, epic drifting runs. But see, since I'd already gone around so many times, most of the snow had already been tossed up. And so, the only untouched snow was near the edge of the parking lot. Thus, the universe, using its all-too-famous recipe for disaster, began to concoct a devious brew. 3 cups ice, 2 cups speed, 1 cup and a half of overconfidence, a 3-person's worth of car weight, a pinch of peer pressure, and a touch of 2 a.m. brain power. The recipe was perfect. I entered the drift, and, well, you can see what happened for yourself. Actually benefits the dash cam, if I'm right. But yeah, unfortunately, drifting is like many other things in life. You only need to do it wrong once. So I hit the curb, pretty hard actually, and my car incurred some serious damage. But before we get to that, let me explain how Curvy is legally responsible for my crash. See, like any reasonable person, I called my insurance company because even though I didn't have like full 100% will fix your car insurance, I did have free towing. So I called them and they told me I need to file a claim to get my free towing. So I was like, okay. And I spent the next 2 hours or so describing what happened. Thus, after a long, arduous process, I had legally filed a collision insurance claim. However, soon after that was over, my dad informed me that now that I have filed an insurance claim, my record will have the giant words, "horrible driver," stamped across it, and my premiums were going to skyrocket. So I spent the next hour looking up just how much the skyrocket would be, and it turns out after a collision, when you're at fault, which is apparently what drifting a curb technically counts as, the average cost increase was about $400, and that lasted for like a few years. So approximately a total of $1,200 all told. Thus, upon learning such information, I was faced with a very challenging decision. Which is worth more? The cost to tow my car, which would be an estimated whopping value of $100, or the raised premiums for the low, low price of not free. So yeah, I made that decision, and then spent the next 2 hours trying to get my insurance company to unfile that insurance claim, and they said they couldn't. However, after much phone conversing, I got a really nice agent who was able to do a workaround. See, if you don't make the insurance company pay anything, they don't really bother to look at the details of the claim you filed. And so as long as it's, not your fault, you don't raise your premiums by much. Or at least, some cases, anything at all. Thus, since I hadn't contacted the attorney person yet, and the details of my claim could still be altered, the agent made it Kirby's fault that I hit him. Sheesh, Curby, get out of the way. And now my premiums should only rise minimally, if at all, since, it was Kirby's fault, not mine. So yeah, that is how a curb became legally responsible for me drifting into it. However, despite avoiding the brunt of the insurance premiums, I nevertheless have felt the monetary pain of my mistake. Thus, I shall now survey for you all the charges that the actual accident and the events causally connected to it brought upon my wallet. In Oculuses. What do I mean by that? Well, see, when I bought my VR headset, the Oculus Quest 2, other than my car, it was the biggest purchase I ever made. Thus, my brain has been conditioned in such a way that I often convert dollars to Oculuses to see how weighty of a purchase it is. So a $4 bag of popcorn would be like 0.133333333 Oculuses. And, thus clearly not a big deal. And don't forget that I only make like $350 a month. And like 75% of that goes into various savings or other accounts that I can only use like $90 a month. And that's to cover like gas and spontaneous Wendy's meals and basically anything I want for myself, such as an Oculus headset. Thus, while the $299 an Oculus is worth may not seem like a lot to most of you guys, it's definitely a lot to me. And this is an app's survey of my monetary situation. So yeah, the total of my accident in Oculuses, as best I can remember it. After my car slams into the curb, the steering stops working and my rear tire bent inward. Here's a blurry picture from that night. Boop. So naturally, one of the first thoughts that comes to my mind is, shoot, I'm going to have to call a tow truck, aren't I? As I think, the cash register materializes and a total of .3077 Oculuses appears on the display. You hear the classic cash register, ching, and then it dematerializes. Next, you see me just after I finish filing my insurance claim, and the cash register appears for me once again, this time reading 3 Oculuses. My eyes go wide and I frantically press Control Z rapidly until it goes away, and I breathe a sigh of relief. Now I'm in my car before it's been towed, and my Uncle Dusty looks under it. Well, looks like your tie rod's bent, so you need to replace that. And while you're at it, you might as well replace the one on the other side. Ching! The register reads .157 oculuses. Also, looks like your wheel's cracked. You're going to need a new one. Ching! .2207 oculuses. Now it's nighttime. My car has just been towed into my cousin's shop, and we got it up on the lift. My cousin David and Uncle Dusty take a glance at my rear rotor, which has been torn into 2 pieces. Ching! .103 oculuses. Also, you need a new control arm. Ching! .0970 oculuses. Uncle Dusty pulls free what remains of my rack and pinion, which has literally been sheared in half. Oh, I think your rack and pinion might need to be replaced. Ching! .8662 oculuses. There's a picture of it. Also, if you do that, you're going to need new power steering fluid and special tools. Ching! The register registers another .254 oculuses to the running total. We now briefly interrupt the money is slipping through Alex's fingers way too fast show to bring you, in the Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated tune, Life Lessons with Alex. You see Alex, with a luscious thick beard and a smooth, charismatic voice, singing in front of a bunch of children. Kids, when your car breaks down, you need to purchase special tools to do the job yourself. Because you're too poor to go to a mechanic. What should you do? A small child wriggles in his seat and answers, Well, you should buy the cheapest tools you can, right? Charismatic Alex smiles through his immensely awesome and well-groomed facial hair. Well, Jimmy, you're almost there. You should try and save as much money as you can. After all, money burns a hole in your pants and it will only lose you money because you have to get new pants. A laugh track plays in the background. But Jimmy, while buying low-quality tools for less may seem like it will save you money, more often than not, it will cost you more than you save. So take my advice and buy the high-quality tools the first time. The scene ends with the jingle, and Alex looking straight into the camera with a bearded smile. The scene now cuts to David and I staring at a bolt that is now a circle and beyond stripped. We look at the cheap Amazon tool, then back to the hydraulic line we just ruined. Cha-ching! .2274 oculuses. Next, you see me starting to replace the rotor on my driver's side of the car, the side that hit the curb, and me cocking my head a little in suspicion, as it definitely looks bent. I call Uncle Dusty and you hear him say, Yep, looks like you're going to need to replace your rear suspension. The guys at the junkyard grunt as they put a rusted rear suspension in the back of my car. There you go, that'll be $100. I toss him a sawed-off third of a VR headset. There you go, I reply, and I peel out of the parking lot before he can respond. Ching! .3444 oculuses. I went full throttle on the impact driver, trying to screw in a bolt, and the bolt split in half. I stare at the bolt for a moment. Ching! .0736 oculuses. And that's only the cost so far. Add it all up, and that's... You see me blink twice as I try to mentally add all those decimal numbers. Definitely more than 1 oculuses. Therefore, it cost a lot and has been a significant expense. I haven't yet finished the repairs. I still need to put the new rack and pinion, assuming I can do that, because there's some really important stuff coming out of the transition at the moment. And, like, all the minor switching out fluids and getting brakes changed and alignment done, etc. But, should I do all that, I would be, then I will be doing some prayers? I would appreciate some prayers, because, I'll be doing some prayers, because there's a lot to be thankful for. Also, if my car comes back to life, I've decided I'm officially going to name it the Golden Phoenix, as it has yet to be given a name, and the name would certainly be appreciated after this point. I'm going to give it a hand-done paint job, which will make my car either look really cool or really nerdy, and I'll take those odds. So yeah, that was a major event that occurred after my last live video, but let me tell you on the rest of the stuff that's happened. After I finished my last live video, my Uncle Dusty came over for dinner, and we played a bit of VR together, since he too has an Oculus Quest, though I will be honest, most of the time spent with him trying to learn how to play collaborative games, so we didn't actually, do it, because the tutorial's stupid long. Also, I think Morgan came over, we talked a bit about something, but for some reason I don't really recall what it was, because my brain was pretty dead. The following day I read my Bible for a few hours, and I got to the point where I was only 6 days behind in my Bible reading plan, and then I went to the Myers where we built some Lego. We actually built Lego Catan pieces, and played a quick game of Catan, which I won, but only by a miracle. And then they rotated on VR while me and Ben did some ping pong. Oh yeah, and then we got home, and Morgan and the fam and I all watched Steins Gate. Though, I think other than me, Morgan was the only one that cared for it, which was tragic. The next morning, well, more like the afternoon by the time I woke up, I did some more Bible reading, played D&D, and a card game called Bang, and then the whole Curby, got in the way of my car incident occurred. The following morning, I stayed home from work and looked up car stuff. I may have binged some anime before riding with Joe, because no car, to anime. Tuesday, I did homework life. I did that homework life. I went through the whole filing insurance claim thing and then being like, could I undo that? And then I got tried to get my car towed to no avail before I went to Ratchet Christie, where I learned just how stupid Buddhism is. And also, I publicly murdered my own Aristotelian metaphysics, which is really, really sad. I then read a paper, I've been reading a paper where I've been hearing about some nominalists, namely William of Ockham and Duns Scotus, and through my History of Philosophy podcast, I actually found their arguments quite powerful. Powerful enough that I have at least temporarily suspended my belief as regards the truth of Aristotelian metaphysics, and all that comes with it. To be frank, it's been a pretty tragic experience, as this is the metaphysics I spent a large part of my last year of my life building, and now it just seems to be crumbling. Oh well, I guess that's life, right? If it ain't true, then it ought to crumble, and if it's true, then the wreckage will be rebuilt even stronger. All for the best, I suppose. Wednesday I went to school, did work, got my toast truck situation figured out, which was surprisingly more challenging than you might think. Watched a little bit of anime before working on homework until 11 p.m., which is not my ideal way to spend the day. Thursday, more school, more homework, more anime, all that jazz. I also had a lab, which I went to. And then that evening, I finished my homework and watched, you guessed it, some anime with Mum and Grace. You know the number of times that I mention it makes it seem excessive, but the episodes are 20 minutes long. It's usually only an episode of mention. So maybe 2 episodes of mention. Everyone calm down here. I then ran out the night by talking with Liam for 2 hours. The following day, Braden wanted to hang, and I was like, I'm down. So we were driving through the ultimate driving canyon, and his car started making a weird noise. Well, we decided to pull over in this snowy slanted spot, and I was like, uh-oh, mentally, because, he has a van, not some, beast 4-wheel drive car. And my suspicions were confirmed. We did indeed get stuck, and after trying to extract ourselves from the situation and only making it worse, we were then granted help from some kind dude with a chain and a big truck who pulled us out. But after that, Braden's car wouldn't shift to second gear, so we kind of just inched our way home, and the rest of the drive was not nearly as relaxed as it could have been. But understandably, I can't even imagine what it would be like for your car to break down because of some miscalculation made regarding snow. Never had anything like that happen to me. But yeah, upon the car crawling back to his house, we did play a bit of Smash Bros, and that made the mood a bit more lighthearted. After that, the Wades lent me their loaner car, which is somewhat sketchy, but still good, and it's a Subaru that they just let their friends use when they need it. And I used that to drive over to David's house, where I had the car towed to his family, because his family has a lift, which I must say has been super useful. So yeah, it was then that Uncle Dusty drove over, and we spent a good hour or so trying to get the car on the back to life, on the lift, no steering. And then yet another hour just checking it out. And this is the beginning of the final story of woe that you are now quite familiar with. Stares in the distance. All those Oculuses. However, the one good bit of news that day is I did get my ACT score back, and I got a 33, which, for those of you who don't speak ACT, is really good. Better than 99 or 98% of the population, depending on what the source you look at. So that was great. The following day was Saturday, I do believe, and the Myers family, Joe and Katie, and this random Montana girl, whose name is something like Cheyenne, I think, all drove up to the Myers cabin, which apparently they have. So yeah, unbeknownst to me, the Myers are super rich. But yeah, it was a really good time. We talked about largely insignificant things on the way up, and a few good conversations with Cheyenne. I'm just going to call her the extra feeling girl, because that's how she is, and it's easier. Oh wait, tangent required. Everyone, I regret to inform you that Aristotelian metaphysics isn't the only thing that broke during the last time of my last life email. We have another very significant casualty. The MBTI. Unfortunately, it turns out the MBTI is also false. Sheesh, why does everything have to break at the same time? And that does not have a significant enough content validity or reliability to be put into practice in a serious psychology sense. Yeah, I know, it's super tragic. I really wish that wasn't true. Apparently God's just like, hey Alex, you know all your dearly held beliefs? Breaks them like a twig. I think it's time you found some new ones. See, I have this hunch that since God knows everything, which is a lot of things, he probably also knows that of all the things in my life I hold dear, my philosophy takes first place. Thus, if you want to blow me up, taking away my stuff, my friends, my health, all probably won't do it. But take away my philosophy and show me that all things I thought were true weren't? Yeah, that's like Alex atom bombs. Everything goes boom. So I'm kind of hoping the wrecking ball stage is over, and now I get to have some coherent philosophy again sometime soon. Anyway, yeah, sorry, that was definitely tangential, but it needed to be said. And if you want to read the peer-reviewed paper that convinced me the MTI is false, then let me know and I'll send it your way. And then you too can mourn its death and feel the pain of your beliefs breaking. Anywho, there are some good conversations with extrovert and feeling girl on the way up, because, those sorts of people, I can't use Myers-Briggs language anymore, are always good at making everyone like them and producing good conversation. Then, when we got up there was a lot of sledding. Oh, and also the Myers have a literal. Oh, I forgot this is its name. Oh, it's a jet ski for snow. A snow jet ski. Uses internet briefly. A snowmobile! First try. So yeah, they have a snowmobile, and I may inform you that snowmobiles are awesome. Caleb took some drone footage of me writing it, and I don't know if he got that edited yet. Maybe if he ever gets that edit, I'll send it to you guys. Anyway, it was mutual fun, and we did a lot of sledding. And we didn't have to walk all the way back because of the snowmobile and this four-wheeler they had, which makes sailings 203% better, I must say. We did a lot of getting cold. The snow stuff I wore was more like snow sponges, so my body, particularly my hands, were like very cold. And here's a picture of the people playing inside, playing cards. We did that after we all did that, and we're frozen. I beat Karina. Also, apparently the cabin was their grandparents or something who like hunted all around the world, and they had this entire room full of animals they shot. I mean, in some ways it was definitely impressive, but in other ways it was more like manifest. But in others, perhaps more manifest ways, it was mostly weird. But yeah, we all did that, and we headed back down, where we bought some Subway, played Polytopia. We never actually finished that game, though, despite the fact that, we played on the way up as well. And I facilitated a conversation about characteristics of people that they liked and disliked for most of us on the way down. However, just when we thought the fun would be over, no. See, not only did we stay at the Myers house till like 11, with me and Benj mindlessly playing netless ping pong, which was surprisingly quite fun. But after that, as Jake started taking us all back to our cars, Joe's like, hey, anyone want to get donuts? And we're all like, yeah, okay. And so we just spontaneously drove to Longmont and literally bought 16 donuts, so 4 each. And then we drove back to Caleb's house, where Joe and Caleb and I played Polytopia and talked until like 5:30 in the morning. So yeah, that was a pretty eventful day for me. The following afternoon, because I definitely slept in, I woke up to discover there was no hot water. So I drove to the house of one of my parents' friends, which are currently housing for, and took a shower, after which I basically went straight to D&D, where we spent a literal 5 hours in straight combat. Which, when combined with my sleep-deprived brain, was doubly exhausting. And then finally, when I got home, I promptly hit the sack. Monday, I did school, I went to work, I did homework, I watched some of the anime with the fam, I went to anime, and then found out that Caleb no longer has teeth! See, he's been working with his wood saw thing in the basement, and a piece of wood came out and smashed a hole right through his 2 front teeth. Like, he literally lost half a tooth on both sides. So yeah, he kind of rushed to the ER, and after that left, me, Joe, Noah, and Jake all just like sat there wondering what to do, and we're like, we'll do this! Yep. We went to the Dollar Tree, all pitched in a few bucks, and made this like whole alien invasion setup at the scene of the injury. And then hid army men all throughout Caleb's basement. It was great. He is still yet to find all the army men, but he's gotten close. Only 3 left since last count. After Jake had to head, because sleep, then me, Joe, Noah, and Ben all rode in Ben's car through the Canyon of Awesomeness and conversed, which was a good time. The next day, I did school, had work, talked with Matt and Alan for 4 hours trying to fix Aristotle metaphysics, though it seemed like we only exchanged one problem for another, and then watched Steins Gate with Morgan until 11. Beginning the following morning, I spent the whole day working at school and on my history of philosophy presentation, because I taught at Rational Crazy for the first time, so that was cool, till 5, and then I read a few academic papers on the MBTI, hence its death, and then took it easy for the rest of the day. Friday, I played soccer, as per usual, watched some anime, worked on my slides for 3 hours, and then rounded out the day with some more anime before going to bed. Saturday was my birthday. I'm now the ripe old age of 20. Yikes. I spent about 4 hours of that day working on my car to little no avail. In fact, I actually just made things worse. So that was definitely a letdown, especially on my birthday. But Mom made it significantly better by donating a caramel frappuccino and a Qdoba burrito to the happy birthday cause. So that was nice. I then watched Kung Fu Panda with the fam for a movie night. That movie is seriously well done. Like, well worth the rewatch. Before doing presents, in which I got a lottery ticket from Grace. And you may be thinking, but Alex, isn't the lottery extremely stupid and the odds of you winning ridiculously small? And I would answer, yes it is. But, see, me and my friends were talking, we decided if we bought cards, that was stupid because they're like merely a symbol of appreciation that were probably worthless. But a lottery ticket, which is the same price of a card, might I add, only is probably worthless. Therefore, we decided that instead of cards, we will buy each other lottery tickets on our birthdays. And Joe did rightly assert that he wasn't going to buy a card for us in the first place. So throwing $3 a lottery ticket is just like throwing $3 in the trash for him. But we all kind of ignored his very valid point and decided that we were going to do it anyway. So yeah, I got my sister in on it, and she was down for $3, is, basically nothing. However, big surprise, the lottery ticket she got me did not win. But you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it if you actually did win it, because the lottery is one of those like... Oh, but wouldn't you know it? I actually did win the lottery via one of the tickets the squad bought me. Now, technically, I only won $4, but that's not the important part. The important part is I technically won the lottery. And now all of you can truthfully say you know someone that won the lottery. You're welcome. Sunday, I alternated between Bible reading and a new VR game called Apex Construct, which was fairly fun. I then cleaned the house and watched some anime. Monday, I did good old homework, spent a good hour or so figuring out how to get local files on Spotify, went to work, and then got the 9th best score in the world on Apex Legends, which I was later bumped to 3rd best. Paps himself on the back. I know, I'm pretty awesome. Tuesday, I did school, homework, all that. At one point, my stomach really hurt, so I took a bath and I just chilled. Then I did more homework before going over to Ratio Christie and talked for 2 hours on the history of philosophy. I was a bit nervous because I never loved public speaking, but then again, it's Ratio is like my squad, so, it's not really public speaking. and I kind of do public speaking each week. So it turned out to be really good, and I actually just like the opportunity to teach. Of course, we talked afterward like normal, and that was great too. There's been this super skeptic guy coming recently. He's one of those like, how do you know there's a chair and not the Matrix guys? So talking to him has been a bit challenging. He really just doubts everything, but good nonetheless. Wednesday at school, did work, powered through some homework, played some VR, as well as dumped some gravel in the front yard, since it was becoming a pool of mud. I then got Polytopia and purchased a tribe, so I can now play online with any of you if you want to fight me. After that, me and Grace went to the youth group, which has definitely seen better days, and we got some good spike buildings. So that was good. Oh, and then Morgan came over and watched Steins Gate. Thursday was just a lot of straight school for me. I basically did homework till 8 at night, which, with a little VR spiced in there. Then, once I got all that done, I watched anime till I went to sleep. Friday, I had to wake up early for a test, which I later found out I 100% bombed and got a 69, which is like the worst test grade I've ever gotten in my entire grade from Calc 2. Dropped from a 91% to an 81 in one fell swoop, which was definitely not fun. However, I did take the Spanish test. However, I did okay on the Spanish test I took well that morning. So I don't know, silver lining. After that, I drove to a friend's house, caught up with my friend Esther. She's been doing well, so that's good. And then I played some soccer, tried to fix my car, and finally ended the night with some anime, food, and Polytopia. Saturday consists of 5 hours of airsoft, which I actually performed pretty darn well in. Plus, Noah made this like rock bunker, which was super fun to play in. And after that, Ben and I stopped at Vern's and got cinnamon rolls before heading over to Caleb's house, where we kidnapped Ben for his birthday. And we got him on like the floor and handcuffed him and put him in the trunk and everything. It was very fun. However, I may have put the handcuffs off too tight because the effect was kind of ruined because we had to stop midway because like Ben was like, I need my hands to work. AKA I cut off circulation to them. Also, since Mrs. Myers didn't want Ben to ride the back of the trunk and be on the neighborhood because, risk of death, I, being immensely virtuous person I am, and out of no other reason than deep concern for Ben's safety, I really just wanted the experience of riding a truck, rode in the trunk because we had 6 people and only 5 seats. Here's a picture of me in the trunk. But yeah, after we got back to Caleb's house, Jay dropped some dough on pizza and ice cream. We just hung out. We played some poker, and Caleb got this cool picture. We then did some VR, which was mad at best. However, we ran out the last few hours of the night with some speedy, lighthearted Nerf wars, and those were great. Though I think the overall winner was tied between Benj and Caleb. I got a bit of chill time before D&D come Sunday, which was nice. We did D&D, as one might expect, before going on a night walk with Braden, Carter, Neo, and I. And then Neo and Braden hashing it out, and Mo and Carter just like mostly listened. Then we ended the night with some Lord of the Rings Conquest, in which I did a good sniping. But Neo's team ended up winning. Monday, I had school and work, but something novel happened, which is, while at work, I was listening to OnScript, which is a podcast about biblical studies, and found a prank podcast I did for April Fool's a few years ago, and it 100% got me. I legit thought this quote-unquote scholar was really saying the things he was saying, and it was partially hilarious and partially terrifying. It was only when I had my mom listen to it, she brought to my attention that it was a joke. Because OnScript is always so serious, like I hadn't even crossed my mind the episode might not be legit. And then after that experience, I got home from work, did some homework, watched some anime, talked to Grandpa while playing Super Hot for a few hours, and then realized that I had Animan and had a jet. At Animan, we played Brawlhalla, which was like Smash Bros. Knockoff, which is like a Smash Bros. Knockoff that I'm not as good at. Also wrestled both Caleb and Joe that night. I beat Caleb, but I have like 30 pounds on him, even though our muscle mass is about the same, so it wasn't really a fair fight. And I tried to wrestle Joe, but he has 30 pounds on me, and that's pure muscle. So yeah, I kind of got destroyed. Plus, I also hurt my arm in the process, so that was the source of mucho fun. The following morning, I actually fainted for the first time. Granted, the fainted correlated with the pain in my shoulder from getting beat up by Joe, but I really doubt, it was the cause, as the pain in my shoulder wasn't that intense. I felt dizzy and lighthearted most of the morning. Anyway, when I wasn't moving my arm. But let me tell you, fainting is a weird experience. It was like I was teleported from standing up to being on the ground. Ben tells me he heard me bump into a bunch of walls before I went down, but seriously, I don't remember any of it. It was just a very disconcerting experience. I wonder if that's kind of what dying feels like. I don't know. In future cases, yeah, I'd like to avoid fainting. After the whole fainting incident, I was really tired and super dizzy, so I rested and ended up going to sleep for just the next 2 hours, which caused me to miss Spanish class, but it was definitely a justifiable reason. So yeah, I went to the hospital where they told me like basically nothing, and I was going to get an x-ray on my shoulder because mom and dad were pretty worried, but then they said the Medicaid wouldn't cover it. So, and I'd already been in the hospital that day. So yeah, I was a bit of a bummer. Anyway, I went home, did homework, went to Ratchet Christie, taught part 2 of my history philosophy class before coming home and just chilling. Wednesday I went to school, at which point my arm was still in a sling, but I was feeling way better. I went to the hospital again, got an x-ray, and everything was good. The doctor said, I probably just tore some ligaments, and that when I woke back up, and I'll be up and running in a few days. Which proved to be true. Man, I'm personally glad that's all it was. I then powered out my homework and watched some anime around the night. The next day I had school, listened to some music. Some music I found until 6 p.m. before I headed over to Wade's place and worked on my car for the next 4 hours. I think that was the first time I actually made some good progress and didn't just break more things. Once I got home, I watched a little bit of anime and went to bed around midnight. The following morning, I headed straight to my car and tried to get the old steering rack out for 2 hours and 30 minutes to no avail. I then went home, bought some pizza, which I shared with David, and then together we got my old rear suspension out and the old steering rack out. It's a pretty great feeling to be actually be like, making a difference in the positive direction for once. So yeah, working on my car was basically my whole day. Saturday, I came in and got the hydraulic line strip replaced, and that took me a few hours. I kid you not, trying to get a single bolt in for over an hour. That shows I am like really bad at this, or this bolt is seriously awkward to reach, and the engineers need to do a better job of designing these cars. So, yeah, I never actually got the bolt out. I just ended up zip tying it together. Not janky at all. I then went straight to Sydney's recital party, where her parents, as well as John, Jesse, and Irene attended. She is an ex-Mormon, and her parents are still Mormon, so there's not the most amicable relationship between them. But it wasn't that bad. Plus, it was quite a bit of like Chick-fil-A there, so of course that improved my social encounter by like 24%. But yeah, see, it started snowing while said recital, and it just like kept snowing. Now, of course, it wouldn't have been a real hangout time without some good old-fashioned Halo. So me, John, Neo, and even Sydney for a bit there played Halo till 5 in the morning. Now, there's the time change, which meant we only played till 4 in the morning, but hey, that's still super late. So yeah, by the time John decided he probably should get home, he and my car were snowed in. So we ended up having an impromptu sleepover. Though I actually got 0% sleep and filed my first all-nighter, as I didn't get to sleep till 10 the next day. So yeah, did that, and then me and Sydney, who did get some, albeit not much, sleep, played the Wii Tank game, and wait for it, beat it! You heard me right. The impossible game, the ultra game, the game that I one day vowed to conquer. I, with Sydney's help, beat. It took a lot of tries, but we did in fact do it. So yeah, if you think it's appropriate to bow before my greatness, then I won't stop you. But after that, the guys all played some more Halo, and then John ran a D&D session one shot. It was about that point in time that my severe lack of sleep caught up with me, and my like brain dead state was like, So yeah, John kind of rushed the one shot for my sake, because I 100% was crashing and burning. I then stumbled home through the snow, because my car was still trapped and I lived pretty close by, and fell upon my bed and slept for 14 hours. Here's a picture. The next morning, I worked on this life email, as well as digging my car and the strangers out of the snow. Before I went to Animen, where we watched some anime, played Brawlhalla, witnessed Noah break his car. Man, literally all of us have broken cars this last week. And well, you know my story. Noah's transmission was dead. Jake had issues with his transmission, and then Joe tried to plow through some snow, and now his check engine light is on, and his cruise control is freaking out. The only one left is Caleb. The car plague is coming for you, Caleb. Just you wait. Anyway, after Noah left, me and Joe stayed up playing Minecraft until 5 in the morning, because you can do stuff like that on spring break. But yeah, the next morning, I slept in past work for reasons that I can probably deduce, because, yesterday I was up till 5. I then worked on this live demo, talked with Uncle Dusty, who came over for dinner for a bit, and then had Ratchet Chrissy game night, where we played this really complicated game called Root. Joe won, but then again, none of us really knew what we were doing, so it's not like that impressive. Yesterday, I woke up early, did bonus work, and then spent 5 or 6 hour drive, When did I drive 5 or 6 hours? Okay. 5 or 6 hour drive making music playlists, only to discover that none of them had saved this morning. I was able to recover like 3 of 7, but sheesh, it was a real bummer. Anyway, we drove to this where I am now, and with the Macy's, and we've just been hanging out with them for the tail end of yesterday and today. And we went out sledding, and Mr. Macy nailed me with an enormous snowball. Miraculously, Mom got a picture of it just as it was smashing in my face, but let me tell you, that thing was huge. Here's the picture Mom has of the snowball in my face. But yeah, that was pretty fun, and now here I am doing this. Also, for all of you Kiwis, I did some research, and the super tragic thing is it looks like the only way I get to New Zealand this summer is if, 1, I were a New Zealand citizen or resident. B, I'm like one of the special 1,000 workers the country really needs. Or C, and this is my only work, I was a graduate student wanting to study in New Zealand. So, here's my plan. First, I'll invent the time machine. Then I'll go back to my younger self disguised as an old wise man, which, of course, my younger self will esteem as godlike because, he's recognized that the older me is infinitely wise and virtuous. I will then mentor him and convince him that the falsehood of getting married is better, which it definitely is not. I just want to make clear. And after that, I'll find someone with social skills to teach him how to be not immensely awkward around females. Alas, there are some things that even those with infinite wisdom like me have yet to attain. After bribing this socially apt feeler, the opportunity to undo one regretted moment of their past via my time machine, I will then teach my younger self how to woo a female. Then, Should the unlikely occasion occur in which he actually be taught such a skill, I shall micromanage a situation where he's surrounded by numerous beautiful Kiwi women, one of which, if all goes planned, he will convince to marry him before COVID happens. Then finally, he shall abandon his new wife, for some reason, I've yet to figure that part out, and find himself in the States where he will become the present me, ignore the myriad of paradoxes that plan creates, and presto, I am now legally permitted to enter New Zealand. See? As I was conceiving this brilliant plan, I initially thought the whole, inventing a time machine part was the impossible part. But looking back, I realized the immensely impossible part would be, the fact that I could successfully woo a female. Making a time machine would definitely be easier. But yeah, anyway, money aside, I literally can't come to New Zealand this summer. I really want to, but I have no choice. So yeah, sorry. Anyway, I leave you on that depressing and completely out of my control note. Talk to you all again soon.